Survivor Series is this week on Sunday. This is the go-home show for both Raw and SmackDown to the bragging rights of nobody else's interest, because there hasn't been a good Survivor Series involving the brands since 2005, and there hasn't been one that kept me invested on the brand since 2005. The only reason people even remember Survivor Series 2016 is because of Goldberg and Brock Lesnar. Other than the spots that got Roman Reigns concussed and Shane concussed. Other than that, I guess we can put it as just an average pay-per-view. Survivor Series 2021 is going to be possibly one of the worst built Survivor Series, over to the extent of no legitimacy put on to the match stipulation. There's no external story to make sure people make it overarching enough to make sure that you can watch the remainder of the year. There's not really much going on, because as soon as the grudge matches with Becky Lynch and Charlotte, Roman Reigns and Big E are parting, they're going to be facing off against their jobber number one contender later in the December, making this relative blood feud completely meaningless. So the matches we opened over with was Roman Reigns taunting he taunted Xavier Woods just by wearing his crown, making fun of his coronation, destroying his seat until Xavier Woods came to defend his honor, and then he got jumped, super kicked, obliterated out of nowhere. So it ended up with his cloak getting damaged, getting speared, decimated, and then we opened with a 5-man tag involving Sheamus, Cesaro, Ricochet, and Jinder Mahal. You forgot two of these guys who were former world champions, and they are still in the considerable mid-card, now fighting for a shot instead of chasing for the belt and getting a bigger character. Like, they're the bare minuscule of mid-card, fighting in a 4-way for a shot at a Survivor Series match that's not even going to do much for your career. Hell, if Austin Theory can make it, hell, make Ricochet just finger himself and make it. I'm being honest now. The match was fine. We had like a top rope, like over 5-foot drop off a senton off Ricochet, a counter off a brogue kick. There was an interruption involving Ridge Holland from NXT hitting somebody with like a club until there was a brogue kick to win the match over Jinder Mahal. The match had some good bright spots. It was a good 4-way. And then later over, they tried to be like, oh, you're my inspiration. Or something. All because he seems to be a hero and he's like putting these guys to justice. He just seems like a well-built Regal, now using a police... He's using a police club for this, bro. This is so stupid. He has such a stupid gimmick. So that's how the final member of Team SmackDown got put up in a 4-way. So it's Sheamus instead of Ricochet, that's a jobber. Cesaro, that's been out to shuffle since losing to Roman Reigns, and Jinder Mahal. He's just there now. That's nice. Then we had Aaliyah, not Aaliyah Mysterio, from NXT, and Naomi tagging against Natalya and Shayna Baszler that affiliates with Sonya Deville. So this ends up how you want it to end up. Kicks, a suplex, wasting submission, and then it ends over with Shayna Baszler winning over on the countout, possibly ending up in some... Okay, do we have any depth why... Literally... Sonya Deville literally fused with these chicks all because, at least Sonya Deville was felt like she was getting overshadowed by her tag team partner because she found her that she was getting more attention because she was more attractive. Okay, fine. That's okay. That's an understandable piece. She feels like she's overshadowed all because her partner has most of the looks and she doesn't have the skill. Why do you care about what Naomi does in her life? She's not even making this Well, you're not somebody that you represents the women's division, or you're not doing much to profit for the SmackDown. Like something like that would be understandable sense. Like you don't represent me, you don't represent the company. We're not making a storyline about that. You just hate Naomi because you hate Naomi. That makes zero sense to me. No depth, no storytelling. Literally, she's like, without those lights in the flesh, the entrance, you're nothing. You don't even bring up that she has a relationship against one of the top tag teams and the top factions of the company. Makes no sense to me, bro. Like, why? She's not even getting pushed for title shots or even the conversation for the titles in the women's division. I just don't get it. And Sonya Deville's just a butch dyke anyway. While you're injured because some weirdo come around kidnapping you. I'm even shocked that you're even on TV still. What's the consolidate for an authority figure now, while you keep trying to force the other former authority figures that people know as just a nostalgia stick? Like, I just wanted to see Theodore Long coming around, jabbering around, like he would have done back in the 80s. Holla, 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 player. Or, excuse me, Vicky Rose still there. Or, I have a hemorrhoid. I'm John Laurinaitis. That's literally how we do it. I'm sick and tired of wasting my energy with this Naomi and Sonya Deville storyline, because it's just gonna try to forcibly get Naomi over to the extent of no fans already not emotionally invested into the chick. That's my energy wasted on like several weeks of the same thing happening, and it's not developing Naomi into anything because it's not really changing the attitude of much. Or she's coming around still gonna be asking and pestering Sonya Deville, so it's still Naomi looking like a complete joke. Stupid. At least CM Punk, when he was like pestering John Laurinaitis, he always had his own comebacks. He know that he can take him on in a real fight because he's out of his prime. He's old. Punk can realistically beat the shit out of Laurinaitis while smart talking him at the same time while the fans were behind him because the fans hate John Laurinaitis because he kept screwing over every babyface. That makes sense. You can't do that with most of the authority figures. They all suck. And somehow Adam Pearce is heel, all because he hates the Hispanics. Nah, I'm joking. That's gonna be... I can't censor that out. Jeff Hardy versus Madcap Moss. It's Riddick Moss. He made some crappier jokes backstage after Jeff Hardy came around, being like, "I'm happy being part of Team SmackDown and not smoking crack." How many days it's been since you had smoked crack? Day 2. And that's... So, just this match was so average. Like, Drew McIntyre came over to the corner for no reason. Just because he's the random babyface, so no open challenge, thank God. He comes over there, like, clotheslining. I think he tossed Pat McAfee his sword. That was really dangerous, because I don't think it's sheathed. Or ever been sheathed. I don't think he ever had his sword sheathed since Raw. There was counters over a roll-up after like a 7-minute match. And then McIntyre came out after before the celebration, Claymore kicking, I was about to say bro kick, Baron Corbin. Then we had Shinsuke Nakamura against Angel Garza. And no, Angel now. They call him Angel. Why not Angel Garza? Don't you want people to know where he came from? I mean, sure, they don't do the same thing with Carlito. They don't call him Carlito Colon, but come on. They just call him Angel. They don't even, like... they don't even try to make it sound special. And they have Rick Boogs that is more over than Nakamura, yet Nakamura is still Intercontinental Champion. I don't get how that's coming into play. And they just had a match because Humberto are heels, and they jumped them last week in the Halloween special episode. So they've been feuding ever since. That happened. Yeah. So, Boogs cuts off Humberto. Nakamura hits Kinshasa after a reversal off a pin. And they win. That's technically it. There were some average moves. Nakamura did the same crap. The match ended in like a couple minutes. I was not emotionally invested. Because Nakamura does the same 7 to 10 moves every time. No charisma. and he just comes out not looking like a badass because he's beating guys that are not that legit. Then we had Sasha Banks against Shotzi Blackheart. And also Xavier Woods had some words for us, saying there's going to be hell to pay for Roman Reigns. The same thing with, I don't know, Kayla Braxton tried to ask him a few questions while saying that the Tribal Chief doesn't like getting surprised, obviously showing there's going to be a possible call-out later in the night. So they had Shotzi against Sasha Banks, going over that Shotzi is Shotzi's turning heel because he's sick and tired of the privileged princess that is Sasha Banks, saying that Payback is a you guys are going to say bitch anyway every time in the promo to feel like there's edge in it, so why? So, Shotzi had majorial control, as always, over the heel. Headlock, she tried to use some type of knee takedown submission. The Bank statement came came off a DC counter, and Shotzi tapped out. And then she was awarded the victory to be Team SmackDown's leader. So there's possibly going to be a bit of drama come this Team SmackDown, and Team SmackDown's going to cost each other some wins or eliminations. So that's the drama there. That was also our main event match. A bare minuscule, like 15, 16-minute match involving the women again, main eventing. And I'm not trying to say this like I'm a women hater, but WWE books their women so poorly. Like, I'm not even bringing this to the testitude of you don't even have to make them sex objects, but to the way WWE books their women, I'd rather see them as sex objects than real wrestlers, bro. They got the bare minimum of a three-dimensional character or any like charismatic thing about them to actually show me to be invested. And I think Tony Storm also got popped out of the team or something. And that was just to voice him to be team leader. Dude, I don't care. Then we had King Woods calling out Roman Reigns after jumping him over in the opener after mocking him. Ending with Big E coming out of nowhere, the guy he has to face over in Survivor Series. And the Usos come appearing after Xavier Woods just super kicked him. Somehow Kofi Kingston didn't appear. I think he was jumped over backstage. Ending with Big E driving the bloodline out of the ring. And that's the end of the show. I guess we had an average ending for a pretty mediocre SmackDown. That's technically how we ended, bro. I'm trying. I really want to like SmackDown. I want to like something that comes out of this. The only upsetting thing is I'm possibly not going to do a stream. I would love to do a stream, but I got work. That's the downside of all this. There'll still be a review, get highlights, and I can just find another streaming platform to watch the pay-per-view. So that possibly will still come out. And I know I got some stuff left back. I did a Full Gear stream. Dynamite possibly will be coming out soon because every time I tried to watch I tried to rewatch Full Gear. So I think I want to give the people a review. I don't want to give the people a review for that bullshit. Every match was like over 25 minutes long. That's why I never wanted to review Wrestle Kingdom, because even if they even had decent matches, most of them rolled into half an hour to do a fucking opener. Dude, there's UFC fights that do an opener and they last like at least possibly a knockout. Because they know it's a fight. There's no guarantee that every fight is going to end in like 30 minutes. The first option they have to do is either try to submit or knock out their opponent, and they make it that way. It's only lucky that it ever even lasts for that long. That's why people always comment that wrestling should be portrayed over as a fight, because it is a fucking fight. Stop trying to make this bullshit a sport. That's why I have my issues with AEW. And that's why I have my issues with WWE, because they're not doing the bare minimum to make people invested on a pay-per-view that they have near 3 decades with. But hopefully it's good. Because sometimes whenever I have the lowest expectations for a WWE pay-per-view, sometimes it can end up a good show overall. Or an average show overall. So, I might be wrong and I hope they prove it. Other than that, this SmackDown was pretty average, like below average in that extent, for keeping me invested. So I heard The Rock's going to be in Survivor Series. That would be the only excitement popping over, because of course they're trying to push Roman and The Rock still to the excitement of like the people still watching. It possibly a bit over the mainstream, even though Roman Reigns isn't as big as a star as when they had to sell that for Mania 28 and 29, because people knew who John Cena was. So that's all the extent I have for Survivor Series hype. Thanks for watching. That's it for me. I'm gonna take my Tylenol. Hours and take what's